Welcome into the Hughes Podcast, a Bay Area sports podcast. I'm your host, Joe Hughes, alongside my brother, Eric Hughes. And 49ers, Rick, getting ready for week 2 to take on the Rams after a very impressive showing in Pittsburgh to open the season. And a little news to start things off as the 49ers head south to SoFi Stadium to take on the Rams. Matt Barrows of The Athletic reporting that the Niners, they're going to do something we haven't seen in a while. They're going to sport those home reds on the road in LA, which is something that pretty much their fans do. There's always a fan takeover. Just kind of your impressions of hearing the 49ers are going to basically have a home field advantage, not just in the stands, but on the field.
I got to say, I love it. I can't wait to see it. We already know when they go down to LA that is going to be filled with red. So it's going to be nice to see that on the field too. Also, just a blatant sign of disrespect to your division rival. And in football, you got to love that, right? And a little bit, it made me quickly think about the Oakland A's baseball team trying to move and maybe making the owner think, hey, if you just up and move, things aren't always the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and you might find your stadium filled with more away fans than regular fans. And then I thought, well, that's kind of what's already happening in Oakland. So who really knows? But no, good for the Niners, and that's what I'm here for. So let's see it.
Yeah, I saw that Vivid Seats is projecting that the stadium will be full with 64% 49er fans, and SoFi has already earned that reputation as like Levi's South. So it's fun to see for the 49er fans because it basically means like you're going to have back-to-back home openers, right? One in LA and one up here in the Bay.
Well, let's hope so. And that season opener, that just was a great vibe to start with. So, I mean, I don't know how things could have gone better for that. So it was just a great game. And to end with such a high, those are the ones that really make you excited. Like, let's get to week 2. Let's keep this machine running. So yeah. I'm stoked.
Yeah, and I think it kind of reminded me a little bit of like The Longest Yard. You know, like the idea in the movie, besides the prisoners having a football team, was that you want to have a patsy. You want to have an easy first opponent to kind of, get everything going, get all the bugs worked out and get rolling. And, not that Pittsburgh was supposed to have been that easy an opponent, but it really worked out for the 49ers that they had everything working so well that you even had offensive linemen like Trent Williams saying, man, we really were like rooting for them to get a first down so we could get a breather because everything was 3 and out and we were back on the field.
No, everything was just happening so quick to shut them down, then to go score, and then to go get that turnover. And, I love that. Like the Niners games get my heart beating, and I get more anxious than, watching any other sport. I love that. And that's part of the reason that brings me in there, but it also like stresses me out. So I love those games where they just pull away and they just show that dominance. And, what I really loved is, we've talked for so long, and so many people talked for so long that with Shanahan's offense, you need a quarterback that can just move the ball effectively and not lose the ball and things like that. And there's been tons of questions for so long. Is Jimmy G the guy? Trey Lance, what's he going to do? And there's just been so many questions. And what Brock Purdy has done in his short career is answer every single one of those questions that remained unanswered by his predecessors. And then the only question remains is, well, can he keep it up? And he keeps showing that he can. And so to finally have that question answered of that missing piece of Shanahan's offense, where you have so many explosive weapons, it just, what is this team capable of?
Yeah, I think what you bring up a good point is looking at what Kyle Shanahan does in some of the videos that we get to see in the locker room after the game, the way he's really just embraced Brock Purdy like you didn't necessarily see him do with all of his other quarterbacks in the past. And he's just really leaned in because Purdy marries the two things that he likes. He's a really smart guy. He understands the offense that Kyle Shanahan likes to run and what Shanahan is doing, including Kyle Shanahan famously will run plays that don't work, but all of that is done with intention to set up something later. And Brock Purdy doesn't get frustrated. He doesn't try to work away from that. He embraces that and leans into it in a way that I think has earned him a lot of trust very quickly with Kyle Shanahan. And he did answer all those injury questions. He didn't look like a timid guy who is worried to get hit. And you saw that in the play where he rolled out to his left when there was a blitzer coming in. He waited, let that guy take a bad angle, rolled out, and then he went the other way and had to flip his hips. And it all looked so natural. It looked so quick. It just looked instinctive. And I mean, we watched Brock Purdy. What we haven't seen from him is have to face a lot of adversity in a game where they've got to come back and he's willed the team back. But you know why he doesn't have to do that? Because he does it so well that they haven't been put in that position because of their quarterback.
And the depth of that team, right? Because like if the defense is focused on shutting down Debo or shutting down Kittle or really containing CMC, it really opens the game up for Ayuk. And he had a great game right there that, you know, all Niners fans know that he's capable of. But now if, say, the Rams are like, okay, Purdy and Ayuk have a strong relationship there. They can find each other. Let's focus on that. Now that opens the game up for Debo and Kittle, and just there's so many weapons. And just what Shanahan's offense has just needed is, hey, get that ball to those weapons and let them do it. And, you know, Jimmy G just couldn't get that ball to those outside on those long runs, right? And Brock Purdy, he can, right? And it's just been so much fun to watch him play. And I just think that he has such a high ceiling. And we've just seen such an effective performance for him. I think part of that definitely goes to the people that surround him. And I saw a lot of the Purdys this last week. I found out that his dad was a pitcher and also had a UCL injury and was a big part in helping him find the right care and the right path forward. And then I saw Brock's little brother is actually the third stringer for Nebraska, and they took on the mighty Colorado Buffaloes, and he ended up coming in for a snap. Also, as a third stringer, you know, because Nebraska got down to their third stringer in quarterbacks in one game. So kind of a similar story. I know he's a younger, and we'll see what the future holds for him. But no, I mean, Purdy just continues to answer every single question. The only question now is, well, can you do it next week? And he keeps showing, yes, I can.
Well, and he's earning respect around the league. Micah Parsons, the Cowboys defensive star, has a podcast, and he was, you know, he goes through all the stuff that happened in the last week. And he basically said that Brock Purdy is a guy. No one's going to disrespect him. No one's going to care that this guy was Mr. Irrelevant. He's a quarterback in the NFL. That's the way he's going to be viewed, and a very good quarterback, because he has forced that on the way that he has played and the way that he has performed. Like you said, he answers all the questions. He doesn't have those lingering issues that you're like, well, we need to see this. Well, we need to see this. You can't keep moving the goalposts on this guy. You just have to appreciate what he's done. And if concerns arise, we'll deal with it then. Because right now, there is nothing that you've seen with Brock Purdy. Do you have concerns as well as things went in Pittsburgh in the 30-7 win? Was there anything that maybe that dominance kind of glossed over for a game or two that maybe raises an eyebrow in a more competitive game?
I don't know if I have like so much concerns in that sense. I just think that this is a well-oiled machine, and I think there's just strong talent on both sides of the ball and on the coaching staff. My area of kind of like concern or you know, like everything, that anything could be better, anything could be improved on, right? At the end of the game, towards a blowout like that, I kind of don't want to see Christian McCaffrey in there. You know, I don't want to see him taking unnecessary hits. Especially in week one, right? Then we have seen with Shanahan's offense, like players get hurt. It's the NFL. Players get hurt anyway. It's not Shanahan's offense, but we know that. And so I think in some sense, you do want to protect your guys because it is a pretty brutal game, and guys got to save their bodies for later on because it is a long season. So seeing CMC out there really late in the game was kind of like, I think I would rather see Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell comes in and now he's not really moving the chains, and so it's not really eating as much clock. So I guess what you would want to see is more people that are able to come in and move that ball to kind of take some of the workload off Christian McCaffrey so he can have a durability to be as effective as he is all season long. What about you? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm still putting a big question mark over at right tackle. You know, the 49ers don't have Mike McGlinchey there anymore. Colton McKevitz is stepping in, and it's been a little shaky, I think, to start the season, where you might have to consider in certain games giving a little bit of help to that side of the field. But, like that's something that they can either play through or they're going to have to figure out throughout the rest of the season because, we didn't see much of it in Pittsburgh. And some of that was that the Steelers they didn't look like they were ready for this game. They just didn't. And that happens sometimes in week one. So it is a little bit of a wild card. 49ers look great. I expect that this game against the Rams will be a little bit more competitive, not only because, it was a low bar to clear what happened in Pittsburgh, but it's a division opponent. And that happens when you've got a team that knows you very well, that does have a rivalry against you, whether it's guys like Aaron Donald with this kind of coy thing where he pretends he doesn't know who Deebo Samuel is, despite the fact that Deebo continues to have big game after big game against the Rams. There is a little bit of that contentiousness that just happens within those division games.
Well, I'm really excited for this Rams game because, just as well as your division rival knows you, your division rival, and the Niners have really had the Rams numbers,
I think they won 6 straight regular season games against the Rams.
That championship game, it's
one dropped interception, baby.
And it's rough. That one really got me because so many people are like, oh, we got their number. We beat them the last 6. And it's like, all that matters is the one that's coming up. And so I think everyone still is disappointed about that. In that sense, you have to show respect to your opponent. They did win the championship. They still have that quarterback there. It's not still the same team. I think some of their best weapons I saw are still going to be out and injured. So I do think the Niners have a great shot to make this kind of look like another Steelers game here.
Yeah, and then you look at some of the opponents that they have coming up after that. The New York Giants looked horrible against Dallas in that season opener. And again, it could be week one. They could bounce back and be a stronger opponent, but that looks like an easy game, at least on paper right now. Arizona looks like it's an easy game. So it's a nice stretch for the 49ers to get off to a good start before you run into some tougher opponents in Dallas and Cleveland and Minnesota and Cincinnati. So, excuse me, before you get into that gauntlet in the middle of your schedule, you get a chance to start the season at least 4-0 and set yourself up for some real success.
No, a strong start takes a lot of pressure off, and then you don't have to play catch up, right? And so you do have to win in the ones you're expected to win. I did light up when I saw what happened to the Giants, because when you look at that, you kind of look like, wow, that's got to be a W. And if it's not, something's probably gone wrong, but it is pro sports and anything can happen, right? But it does look really good for the Niners, and just everything. They look like they've got unfinished business. Everyone knows how last season ended. Everyone, I think all the faithful really think that should have been the Niners. And just the way that season went to wind up on quarterback number 3, that's unheard of. And to still make the playoffs, let alone the championship game, it's just incredible. So I think Niners fans, we feel like there's a lot of unfinished business, and it kind of feels like the team feels that way too.
Yeah, it's going to be fun just watching that game with the 49ers and Rams. I'm looking forward to the competition. I want to see the Niners face a little bit of a tougher competition, but I still got to say, I enjoyed being able to kind of kick back and relax during the game, because we know that last year the 49ers had to run the table and win those 10 final regular season games to get into the playoffs and make that run. But there were some stressful moments there, so I don't like those games as much. It's not good for my heart health.
No, I'm telling you, I feel like tightness in my chest. It's like I physically feel it when I'm watching those tight games. So no, those more blowouts, those are nice. I pulled my computer up, did a little work, and was able to kind of like, okay, we can relax a little bit here.
Well, this is the Win or Hughes podcast. New episodes debut every week. You can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on social media at Win or Hughes. You can find me on social media at Vegas Joe Hughes, and we'll talk again next week.